Good morning, students. Once again, I welcome you all in today's online class of science. Students, in our previous video, we have discussed about wool industry, the processing of wool, how we get the wool from the sheep, as well as we have discussed about the uses of wool and the health hazards associated with wool industry. Now, students, today we'll be discussing all about silk. The same way how we get silk from the silk moth or silkworm, the uses of silk, the types of silk, as well as the health hazards associated with the silk industry. Let's start with the introduction of silk. What is silk? Student, silk is just a fiber which is obtained from the cocoons of silkworms, that is silk moth. This silk moth lives on the leaves of mulberry plants. Now there are various types of silk known so far. For example, tussar silk, muga silk, kosa silk, etc. etc. Until now, the mulberry silk is the most common silk moth. Now, what do you mean by sericulture? The definition of sericulture is very simple. The rearing of silkworms for obtaining silk is called sericulture. Got it? Now, this is the picture. Here I am showing you the silk moths, the male and female. You must have seen the moths in your daily life. This is the picture of the silk moth from which we get the silk. Now let's have a brief discussion or a brief history of silk. It was discovered in China around 3500 BC. Silk became a prized possession because of its fine quality and luster. Even now, if we want to go for any occasion, we used to select the silk fabrics, these. Why? Because of its fine quality and luster. Originally, it was used by emperors only as it was so costly. But nowadays, many people, we all are using it, right? And it was through trade that silk spread to other parts of the world. It reached India also. Even in India also it was produced, and there are some proofs of use of silk during the Indus Valley civilization, right? Now coming on to the life cycle of silkworm. Mainly there are four stages in the life cycle of silk moth. These are eggs, larva, pupa and adult. The first stage, that is eggs. The female silk moth, it lays the eggs. That is the first stage. Then after about 14 days, eggs are hatched into larva, the second stage. This larva also known as the caterpillars. Now these larvae, they grow into pupa, the third stage. It is the third stage of the silk moth in which, that is the pupa, in which it secretes fibers made of protein and weaves the fibers around itself completely. This covering is called cocoon. Sorry. These pupa, they live in the cocoon for some time, and then after coming out of cocoon, they grows into silk moth. This was in short, the life cycle of silkworm, covering all the four stages: eggs, larva, pupa and adult. Now this is the pictorial life cycle, students. See, the female silk moth with eggs, then eggs are shown on mulberry leaves, then the caterpillar, that is the larva, is shown on mulberry leaves. Then the cocoon, that is the pupa stage, is seen. In this cocoon, pupa is there. Then the next cocoon with developing moth, means an open cocoon is shown in which a developing moth is there. And the last, the adult silk moth. Okay. In the next picture, I have shown you the mulberry tree and the mulberry leaves. Now coming on to the processing of silk. Like in wool also, we have discussed a few steps in processing of wool. Shearing, scouring, sorting, spinning, all those. Now same way we have few steps in processing of silk also. First step involves rearing of silkworms. The second step is reeling. Third step is dyeing, and followed by spinning and weaving. Now let's discuss all these steps in detail. Rearing, that is the first step. In this, the female silk moth lays eggs. Eggs are stored over a clean cloth or paper strips. Now students, here we are doing the rearing. So Not naturally but manually we are doing all this. So these eggs, they are collected and they are stored over a clean cloth or paper strips. Now these eggs are warmed to a suitable temperature. As you know that for hatching of eggs, warmth is required. So we give the warmth manually, and then the eggs hatch into larvae called the caterpillars or the silkworms. Then these silkworms, they are kept in bamboo trays and they feed on mulberry leaves and grows in size. Now we who are doing the rearing of this silkworm, we provide them the mulberry leaves manually. So these caterpillars, they feed on the leaves and they grow in size. Now, after 30 to 40 days, the silkworms stop eating and their hibernation period starts. They begin to spin the cocoons. Now, the cocoons, they get hardened because of exposure to air. It's made up of a protein and it gets hardened because of exposure to air. Then inside the cocoon, the silkworm develops into silk moth. This was the rearing of silkworms. See the picture. In this, they have shown the moth, the female, the larvae, the cocoon, okay, all these. Now the next step is reeling of silk. These cocoons are collected and they are kept in sunlight or boiled or exposed to steam. Why? So that the silk fibers separate out. Now this is the reason why they are kept in sunlight or they are boiled or they are exposed to steam, so that the silk fibers separate out. This process of taking out the silk thread from the cocoons is called reeling. Reeling is done by machines. Now the next is dyeing, spinning and weaving. Dyeing means these silk fibers are then dyed in different colors. As we have seen in the processing of wool, the dyeing of wool, because we want colorful wools. Same way here also silk, we want colorful silk. So we get these dyed in different colors. Then spinning and weaving. These silk fibers, they are then spun into threads and woven into different types of silk cloth. That is fibers. This is the picture. See, spinning and weaving of silk is going on. Now see the pictures of silk. How beautifully it's coming out from the silk moth. Now this was all about the processing of silk, the rearing, then reeling, then dyeing and spinning. These are the 4 steps and the 4 stages of life cycle of silk moth: eggs, larva, pupa and adult. Now we are coming on to the uses of silk. It is a costly fabric, as I told you earlier. It is used for weaving cloth, especially traditional dresses in India like sari, kurta, shawl and other wedding clothes, costlier ones. It had always been prized for its luster and fine quality. The countries which produce silk on a large scale are China and India. First rank goes to China and then India. Now the health hazards associated. As in wool industry also we discussed respiratory problems mainly. Here also the rearers in silk industry, they are engaged in several types of tasks and they get exposed to multiple physical, chemical and biological agents which make them vulnerable to various health problems that include injuries, musculoskeletal disorders, allergies, eye irritation, respiratory diseases, and many more. So, see, lot of hard work and lot of these pains the people are taking for us to give us the fine quality of silk. I hope students this complete process of sericulture is understood, as well as the uses of silk, everything is understood. And I want you all to do the exercise which I am sending you in docs. Till the next time, keep updating your science, keep reading. Thank you and have a great day.